How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is the third chapter of the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. It's also the conclusion to the trilogy. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World follows Hiccup, who is now a leader of his tribe, and he's basically trying to keep order and peace within the dragons and humans. He goes on adventures, trying to save dragons from certain types of people, and he's basically just being a leader and trying to, maintain the peace. However, there's a villain who starts to threaten that. He wants to kill all of the Night Furies and kill as many dragons as possible. So what Hiccups tries to do is he tries to look for this place called the Hidden World, where it's apparently a utopia for dragons where they can be safe, and basically this land that no one really knows about. So in this movie, he tries to look for that particular place, as well as trying to hide away from the villain. And there's also another Night Fury, which everyone believed that the only Night Fury was the dragon that Hiccup had, but there's another Night Fury. So that comes into play, and basically we have our adventure. Now, this movie opens up nationwide on February 22nd. However, yesterday, my theater was offering early screenings of this movie, and I decided to go because I was very excited for this movie. If you had seen my top 10 most anticipated list of 2019, you would know that this movie was on my list. It was my number 8. The reason why was because I am a huge fan of this franchise. The first one, to me, is a fantastic animated film that ranks among DreamWorks' best movies. And the second one, to me, is even better. It's one of the best animated sequels I have ever seen. It's so good, so emotional, so well done. Just a great animated film in general. So when I heard that the third one was coming out, the trailers looked great. The fact that the second one ended in such a high note and this is going to be the conclusion, my expectations were very sky high. So believe me, I was very excited for this movie. Hands down, my most anticipated animated film of the year. After seeing the movie, I can tell you, I'm satisfied. This is a damn good animated film. It's a really good conclusion to a great animated trilogy. And I just thought it was a really good film in general. It had beautiful animation. The characters are great. It has a lot of heart, a lot of emotion. Since the story is wrapped up, there are a lot of emotional things that happen in the movie that, of course, I won't spoil. And I was never bored. I think overall, it's just a very good movie. So let's go more in depth into why I enjoyed this movie a lot. For one, I was really into the story. The movie opens up with an action scene of some sorts, and I thought it opened up in such a great way. The animation for the first two are great. You can still watch them now, and they're not that old. The first one came out 2010, and the second one came out in 2014, so it's not that long ago. But as you know, as the years go by, the animation always gets better. And in this one, I was absolutely blown away by how good the animation looked. I didn't see this movie in 3D or IMAX, but I can only imagine that watching it in those formats, you would be even more amazed by how good the animation looks. The animation here is absolutely stellar. And like I said, the characters are great in this movie. I love Hiccup and everyone else in the film too. Everyone provides a lot of comedy relief. A lot of characters have arcs that are continued from the other movies. And yeah, all the voice acting, of course, is great. And pretty much as the movie was going on, I wanted to know what was going to happen. And there are some characters I wasn't too big of. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. For the most part, the characters are great. And like I said, I was never bored. As I was watching the movie, I was into it. I was entertained, and I wanted to know what was going to happen in terms of how things played out. Some things happened that were unexpected, and I was actually at the edge of my seat in some scenes because it's a conclusion. So some things wrap up in a way you may not expect, and for me, I was a little surprised, but in a good way, because it ended things nicely, and can't really complain too much. Had a really good score as well. The score, I thought, fit the narrative very well. It's entertaining, and yeah, I mean, what else can I really say about this movie? I can say that it's also pretty funny too. Well, the first two is known for having humor, especially with some characters, and this one does have humor that does work. And it's emotional, man. There's definitely a lot of emotional scenes in this movie. Now, in terms of my flaws with this movie, one of the flaws that I do have with this film is that I okay, how do I explain this in the best way I can? Um, I guess what I can really say in terms of some problems is that while I really enjoyed this movie, I feel like it didn't really have the magic that the first two had. Like what I was watching, when I was watching this movie, I was enjoying it and liking it a lot, but something about the first two made me really emotionally connected and resonant with those two films. And I'm not saying I didn't necessarily feel that way with this film, but it's something about those two films that they had that this movie felt like it was slightly missing. There are some comedy scenes that don't work. There's a running joke that I don't want to spoil. You'll know it if you see the movie. And the first two times was kind of funny, but then at a certain point, it just it kind of got old. And I will say that my biggest thing is actually the villain in this movie. The villain isn't bad, but he's not that good either. There's a scene that makes it seem like they're setting him up to be a villain with great motivation, and really he's just a generic guy who isn't really anything special, which is a shame because I remember the villain from the second one who was awesome, and he was a really memorable villain. But in the third one, they kind of just made him a disposable one that could have been stronger, in my opinion. Yeah, and some characters would have liked for them to have focused on, like for example, Hiccup's mother, who was such a huge character in the second one, and she was a great character in the second one too. And in this movie, she's in it for a little bit, and it's a shame because it kind of feels like she's just a side character. And maybe that was for the best. I don't know, but I couldn't help but feel like I really wish they had more. They gave her more to do in this story. But with that being said, this is still a really good animated film. It's a damn good one. To me, it's the weakest out of the three, but that's saying a lot because the first two are up there with one of DreamWorks' best. And this is still, like I said, a very satisfying conclusion to a great animated trilogy. So we had Toy Story, which to me is still the MVP of animated series. Which well, I don't even know if I can say that because Toy Story 4 is coming out. So maybe this is the best animated trilogy of all time. So congratulations, How to Train Your Dragon. I'm gonna give this movie an A-. I think it's very solid. I liked it a lot. I don't think it's perfect. There are some things that hold me back from saying it's a perfect movie or saying that it's the best of the trilogy. That being said, highly recommend this one. If you haven't seen any How to Train Your Dragon films, I really implore that you do because not only are they great animated movies, they're great movies in general. They're one of those animated films that anyone can enjoy, whether you're, you know, in second grade or you're 24. There's something in this movie that has something to offer to everyone of any age. So if you haven't seen this movies, I really recommend that you do. They're really good, and this movie proves that. I hope they don't make another one. I hope they don't do what they're doing with Toy Story now, make How to Train Your Dragon 4 for money's sake. I really hope not. But with that being said, I'm satisfied. This movie opens up in 3 weeks. I would recommend go checking it out. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World gets an A-. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this early review. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.